Hello and welcome to the 2016 Bill Neese Coaches Show. I'm your host, Chip Hare, and with me, of course, is Coach Bill Neese. The 2016 campaign is ready to roll. It's hard to believe we were just in the locker room recapping the 2015 season, and we have just finished two-a-days, actually, and we are getting ready for the last scrimmage, which will be Springboro on Friday. But before we talk a little bit about this coming season, Coach, let's talk about coming off of a playoff season last year, 7-5 finish, first playoff appearance since 2007. Certainly a good year for the Indians and some momentum moving into 2016.
Definitely it was. We're happy to get back in the playoffs. It's been a while. I think the kids enjoyed it. I think the community was into it. Everybody was into it, the school, so forth and so on. Great momentum into the weight room. And our winter was outstanding. We had great turnout. We picked up some new kids. We've got about 55 players, 55, 56 players. The big news is we have 35 freshmen into our program, which last year that class finished with 18. So we're right around 100 in our grades 9 through 12, and that's where we should normally be. So it's not a huge number for us, but it's a number that we normally should be at. Last year we were a little less than that. So we're strong. Our camps went good this summer. There's a lot of great interest in our 1st through 6th grade. Our 7th and 8th graders set record numbers at our speed camps during the summer and also our football camps. So in terms of numbers of participation, in terms of people that are actively interested in Piqua football, we're at an all-time high.
When we last spoke, I give you a good synopsis of where we were, and we talked about the off season a lot last year, what that means to your program and what that means to Piqua football. That off season, not just including football camps, but in the weight room, really does have a big impact on continuing the momentum from last year.
Oh, it's the lifeline. It's our recruiting. Colleges go out and recruit. We go in the weight room, and we get kids bigger, we get them faster, we get them stronger. We had 2 of our starters come off major shoulder surgeries. Both of them have been cleared 100% and have participated in most of the two-a-days. Participated in the scrimmage last week, so that's a plus. We had another kid who had a knee injury come back full strength. So we've had 3 kids that are full strength, and a lot of that has to do with getting in that weight room and getting that rehab, moving that thing up, picking that momentum up with the rehab.
Well, we talk about staying healthy, and that's going to be certainly a theme for this year, keeping our guys healthy and depth and those types of things. Going into this year, we move into a whole new set of schedule for the Indians. We're going to see some new people. We're in a new division, so to speak, with the GWAC, with Trotwood leaving the division, Chip City incoming, but we're going to see Trotwood again a little bit. Let's talk about the preseason. Games 1 through 3 is our non-league. New teams, Dayton Middledale week 1. Trotwood, who we've seen before, we've now are week 2. And then, of course, Franklin week 3. All 3 are Division 3 teams. I believe as I was looking at the schedules, this is the first time in many years that the Indians haven't had a Division 1 team on the schedule, only because we are now Division 3 and now playing those teams in our region.
Right. And, actually, when you look back on it, Meadowdale, we have played them before, and when we played them, they were Division 1. Trotwood's a former Division 1. Franklin is a former Division 2. We played Franklin back in the playoffs back in 95, 96, and they were a Division 2 playoff team back when John Argood was running the show back there. So I think there are 3 schools that are very similar to us in the fact that they're great communities. Dayton, obviously Dayton Meadowdale is a public school, but everybody has that community feel, and just the numbers not necessarily are going down, although the numbers are going down a little, but just there's other places that are just building up. There's schools that are multiplying. The Olentangis, the Dublins are now into their 3rd and 4th schools. They're running out of names for them. And same thing down in Cincinnati. So I think there are 3 schools that are very comparable to us.
Well, when you look at the schedule, certainly when we talk about playoffs, those are the types of teams that we could see in the playoffs. Week 1, we host Dayton Meadowdale, and it will also be the 10-year anniversary of the 2006 state championship team. Will be a great night as those guys get to come back and reminisce on that great championship season, but also an opportunity for you to reunite with some of the old players. But many of those same coaches, like yourself, are still in the locker room coaching the Indians.
Yeah, it'll be a good night. We've got another one of the 2006 back. We've got Justin Hem back on the coaching staff, and so it'll be good to see those guys. But also, our job most importantly is going to be hopefully to win that football game and make everybody have a good night.
Well, as we move into week 2, certainly everybody knows about Trotwood Madison being a formidable foe for us for many years in our own division. we've continued that. We go down there after a big win at their place, and again, they'll be one of the top teams in Division III. First good road test for the Indians.
It will be. It's going to be outstanding. They've got that great running back, but they also have a lot of other people back. Don't be shocked that they don't have a lot of other athletes back besides the running back. Their defense will be well schooled. They'll have another big offensive line back, so it's going to be a huge test.
Well, and as you mentioned, since '95, '96, we play Franklin down at Franklin. They had one of their better seasons that they've had for them. They were close themselves getting into the playoffs. I would imagine they feel like they're a contender again for getting in the playoffs.
I think so, and they've got a couple outstanding players. They've got a great linebacker, and they've got a couple other kids that are in a lot of watch lists and things like that. So it'd be nice to go down there. When we played Franklin, and the other times when we were close, it was always going to be at a neutral site. We played them at Welcome Stadium, so I've never seen Franklin's facility or anything. So it'll be 2 back-to-back road trips at Trotwood and Franklin. So it'll be a good test for the Indians for that 2-week stretch.
Coach, let's talk before we get into the GWAL conversation of our schedule. Let's talk a little about our returning players, in particular returning seniors. We talked about 2 guys that were key starters for us that were banged up over the offseason, but they're back up and healthy. Talk a little bit about them and some of the expectations of what you think our players are going to see this year.
Well, I think our strengths are going to be in both of our lines. I think our offensive line is going to be led by our 2 big guards, both all-league last year, Ben Bynum and Anthony Grunkemeyer. And we've got a very versatile center, Colton Meyer. He's came in, and we're under center a little bit more than we have been in the past. He's able to master the shotgun, and we haven't had a complaint about him this year. So I think right up the middle, and with Austin Davis coming back off the knee injury, I think the Indians are going to be strong at that point. We've got 2 new guys at the bookend tackles, but one of them 6'5", about 265. The other one's almost a 300-pound guy, one of our strongest guys on our team. Both young guys, but I'm going to tell you what, they didn't look like it in the scrimmage. So I think those 2 bookend tackles, along with those all-league guards and our versatile center, are going to give us a great offensive line to start with. We can cap those with 2 tight ends that usually are going to alternate, either Nate Monin, who's back from his shoulder surgery, his labrum shoulder surgery, and then we also have Derek Height, and they happen to be our 2 defensive ends too on the other side of the ball, so they split time, at tight end. I think everybody knows our running back situation. We've got Darren Tips Clemens, Michigan State commitment on one end of the running back side. On the other end, we have Alan Shrub, who some people saw great things from last year. It's tough to be the second guy in that backfield, but I know Darian did that when Trent Yeomans was here. And so the same thing happens there, and you fight for every one of your carries, you block. I think the nice thing about those guys is they really block for each other. They enjoy blocking for each other. So I think they will.
Good chemistry amongst those 2.
I think they will, be a formidable, duo back there in the backfield. And on the outside, then we've got Caleb Patton, a senior, coming back. We've got Hayden Shrub, who's kind of been the star of the summer, in our passing scrimmages, playing wide out. And we also got Hunter Hawk, who came off a knee injury last year also. So those 3 guys rotate in that perimeter on the offense. And then the big wild card is, and we saw him last year as strictly a sophomore, a defensive player, and he was an all-league player last year. But Ben Smeezing has come on the offensive side of the ball, and in one scrimmage he was able to play running back for us and caught a touchdown pass coming out of the backfield. He's also our number 2 receiver. So when I describe the offense, I describe the people on the outside, the people in the backfield, and then I describe Ben Smeezing as being anywhere he wants to be, because the great thing is that kid's as smart as anybody we've had. Tell him one time what to do, he's got it. It's into memory. You can make adjustments. So he's going to be that real wild card for us throughout the offense.
You look at a core group of guys returning from last year. You talk about Darian and and Alan. Good core group, but the one question mark, which you alluded to a little bit, is the quarterback. Last year we lose Rupert, of course, and we have Austin Davis behind the center. You talked about his injury, but this is also new in terms of varsity. So at the scrimmage the other night, when we were referring to the scrimmage, we're talking about the line of scrimmage where the Indians were able to come up on top 2-1 and really look good on both sides of the ball. Austin Davis, how is he progressing in your mind, and how do you believe the guys believe in him as their leader?
I think they do. Number one, I think one of the things that happened is he's got everybody on his side just because of the fact that he came back. It was a little slow process at the beginning with his knee. He had a couple setbacks during baseball, but then once he got going in the summer and once he started getting rolling and participated in all the drills and started doing everything and things started rolling, he's lost some weight and all of a sudden stuff just started clicking. And he's always had a great arm. He's got the that's the always the scouting report on him is strong arm. Now what else is going to happen? And he's got all the intangibles put together, and he's really done a good job of embracing that quarterback mentality and everything. So we're pleased right now with what's taking place with him.
Great. We know that we'll be talking a lot about him and certainly our offense. And but the one place that I think really stood out from that scrimmage was our defense, in particular our defensive line. Boy, are we awful tough on that defensive line. A lot of returners, and boy, we suffocated pretty well Friday night against Lima. Yeah.
Well, the big thing is we lost 3 starters on defense, and all 3 of them were 3-year starters, but. On the other side of it, we've got 6 out of 8 kids coming back, and of those 6 of 8 kids coming back, all 6 were all league. So we are very strong on the defensive line. All 4 of those guys had all league honors. Our 2 bookend defensive ends, Derek Height and Nate Monin. Nate, as a matter of fact, just committed to Kent State Saturday night, so he's our second scholarship player. And then inside, we've got 2 300-pounders that can move. Tristan Cox, who's got numerous college offers. And then I think the guy that doesn't get a lot of recognition, but has really come on and solidified our defense, and that's Mount Potsy. He's almost about 335 pounds, but he can also move. Yeah, he can move. He can get off blocks. You can't hold him because he's got great arm stretch. And so I think those 4 guys getting upfield, wrecking schemes are outstanding. On the outside, where in this day and age, you have to be athletic outside. If you don't, running quarterbacks will kill you, with the read option and things like that. And with Darian and Ben Smeezing, probably our 2 most athletic guys, over 190 pounds, over 6'1", 6'2", 2 of our fastest guys. We can't ask for anything more out of there. So very rarely are we going to get that mismatch where somebody's going to be able to zone read and put a quarterback out there or do straight pitch and do things along those lines. And everybody wants to put people in space and try to make them tackle one-on-one. Well, we want to have those guys out in space tackling because they're our 2 best tacklers. So I think we're confident there. The inside linebacker position, Ty Carnes was an all-league player for us last year. He comes back, and then Brett Kraft has been in our program for 3-4 years. He's done his time in the weight room, and he feels like it's his time to take that other inside linebacker job. In the meantime, Alan Shrub has also been working in there too. Alan got hurt at the beginning of the season, and so Crafty moved in a little bit, but those 2 are still battling it out at that other inside linebacker spot. And when you finish out the remaining part of it, the back end of the defense, right in the middle, that key guy returns Dylan Cole. And Dylan's been a 3-year starter for us, all-league first team last year. And he was, he was a guy that played secondary last year and was all-league and did everything fine, but he wasn't the leader. This year, due to graduation, he's assumed that leadership role. He's that guy that's back there talking. He's that guy that's back there directing traffic, and you need that guy back there. Every year, you have to have that guy. And he is our guy this year. We didn't have to say, hey, Dylan, come on, we need some leadership. Here's a book on leadership. Go read it and try to do these 7 fundamentals of being a leader. Dylan knew what to do as soon as he walked in. He said, this is what I did. He emulated people we've had in the past. He gets you in the right spot. He gets people here. He gets people here. So we're pleased with what he's doing up the middle. Hayden Shrub is our nickel safety. So if we want to use a 4 defensive back set, he'll be coming in as our second safety. And then we've got kind of a dogfight out there at corners. We've got, I think, Jacob Bushnell's kind of solidified himself at one corner. And I think at that other corner, we've got a bevy of maybe 4 or 5 guys that are all battling out for that position. During our passing scrimmages, between our passing scrimmages and our 2-a-days and our scrimmage itself, we probably literally had maybe 6 guys that have got reps in there playing in there. And so someone is going to emerge, and as someone emerges, whether or not, it'd be Hunter Hawk, who's the forerunner, but he's battling some injuries right now, or anybody else, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So really, that's maybe the question mark as we go into the season.
Well, certainly a lot of good things and a lot of good players and returning players, and you have to have that as we go into what is probably known as one of the toughest leagues in the state of Ohio in the GWAC, and we're going to go right into our crossover games. 2 new crossover teams this year, West Carrollton in week 4, right here at Alexander Stadium. And then we will go to Xenia, who we've been scrimmaging the last several years here, which will be a good scrimmage, or be a good game for us. Two tough teams, but get us ready for a division.
Yeah, definitely it will. And you know, we kind of look at it like they're going to make us better. And that's why I told our players this week, I said, hey, we got a chance before we start playing these Friday games. We got 10 shots on Friday night to earn a shot on Saturday night, because the Division III playoffs this year are on Saturday nights. And I said, before we can get into those 10 shots, we've got 2 shots. 2 teams are going to come in and help us get better. Lima Senior came in last week and they helped us get better. They strained us, they challenged us, they did some things, and we got better. Springboro is going to do the same thing, and then the same thing's going to happen with our non-league games. You know, those guys are going to come in, they're going to challenge us as much as we can. We're going to try to keep getting better as the weeks go on, and then we'll see what happens.
As we move into division play with in our GWAC, Week 6 will be a little different for the Indians. We're actually going to be a part of Thursday Night Lights, which is a new program through Dayton Channel 22. We're going to be up at Sydney on a Thursday night game. We'll be the only game in the Miami Valley. We will make sure that we're ready to roll as a probably one of the more formidable foes in the North Division.
Oh, I think so, and you know, I think there's a lot of people. You know, somebody asked me the question, you know, yesterday about the GWAC North, and I said this is probably as confident as I've ever seen all the GWAC North coaches coming into a season. I think everybody legitimately believes that they have a chance to be able to be the favorite and you know, to win the GWAC North. And I think Sydney's got a lot of people back. I know that the Troy Trojans are much improved. Got a chance to watch them Saturday. You know, Greenville is always brewing something up over there. They're going to pull an upset here, upset there, one way or the other. Vandalia Butler has been second place and also been a playoff contender, you know, for a long time. And then you've got a team that's been to the playoffs maybe 6-7 times in a row, Tip City, coming in, you know, to challenge that whole thing.
With a question mark.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of people with some credentials that can back up what they're talking about.
Well, as we move into that GWAC this year, I know there'll be a lot of conversation in our coaches' shows about those particular teams. It's hard to say that where one team is over the other. Certainly a lot of people are looking at the Indians as a formidable foe, and I know that you and our kids believe we're going to be a team to contend with, not just in the GWAC, but hopefully be playing in Week 11. That's the goal, as you said, on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it is. And you know, when you come into the season, the same person that asked me about that said, well, there seems to be a lot of optimism in the season. And I said, well, you know what the difference is? There in our locker room, in our weight room, this same optimism that everybody's sharing this year, that's our optimism every year. We come in every year thinking that, and there's not a year that I'm not thinking in my mind, okay, you know, we're better because of this, and these advantages we have, and then we go. I think because we look on paper to be, you know, a little bit more formidable than they have in the past, and I think that's where the rest of that optimism comes. But for us personally, it's always been there, and it'll be there every year.
Good point you make, as I get a lot of those people myself grabbing me, hey, I hear the Indians are going to be good this year, and as I watch, and I've been around you in the off season, and particularly this season, you haven't treated, your coaches haven't acted any different, your players haven't acted any different this year than they did on maybe any other year that maybe those weren't those expectations in the community, but they have those expectations right here in your locker room.
Yeah, they're always there. They're always there. You know, every year we put out our schedule. We put our 10-game schedule out, and then we put the week 1 of the playoffs. And it's been there. We've done it like that since day one, and that, you know, that's what we expect. If you don't have that expectation, then I wouldn't think you'd be working very hard in the off season. If you just want to see, well, whatever happens, we'll see.
A team and a coach of routine. That's what the Indians continue to do, and that's, as you say, that's how you roll.
Exactly.
We are going to, our next scrimmage will be Friday against Springboro. Just briefly, obviously, that's a great team on the road. Give us an opportunity to get on a bus, get an idea of what it's like to travel, and then we're going to play against probably one of the tougher teams in the GWAC South. As we get ready for Dayton Meadowdale, I'm sure you'll have our guys ready to roll. Expectations on Friday night, what's our goals on Friday? Obviously to play well, but what's to improve from last
Well,
Friday?
I think we want to get some special teams in. I think that's the number one thing. We didn't get a chance to get a lot of special teams in, so I think that's a priority of number one. I think number two, we want to make sure we get down there and we challenge Springboro. 4 years ago, it wasn't a game. And, 3 years ago, it got closer. 2 years ago, closer. Last year, we were close to beating them. And so we're getting that yearly thing a little bit better. I think we're getting a little bit better with those guys. They're a playoff team from last year. They won. They're actually coming off their first playoff win ever. They beat Mason last year. So they've got some people back, and they're always going to have good people. They're always going to be reloading. They're at that program stage where they can do that. So for us, we want to go down and we want to get better. We want to get better, meaning that we want to rise up to challenges. Now, if physically, you got a thing where there's nothing you can do about it, and it's just going to be that weak problem, then there's nothing we can do. But everything else, we want to try to be as good as we can on Friday night, get better, use that, and get ready for Meadowdale.
Coach, we will certainly look forward to the season. We'll look forward to our coaches show as we get into our weekly shows. The next one that everyone should be aware of here at Alexander Stadium will be week 1 when the Indians host the Lions from Dayton Meadowdale, and we will also be hosting the 10-year reunion of the state championship. Should be a lot of fun for everybody, but that'll certainly be the start of the Indian campaign, and we'll look forward to that. So thank you for joining us. For Coach Neese, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We will see you at week 1, August 26th at Alexander Stadium.